Hi, and welcome to the next drawing exercise. Now, in this exercise, we are going to be converting this isometric, which is figure 6.44, and we're going to be converting it into a first angle orthographic projection. Without further ado, let's get the measurements. Now, keep in mind there's radiuses. So there's going to be a radius 20, and there's a radius 20 on one side, so 20 is 20. So you're going to plus the 20, then the 30, then the 20, and the 30, and then the other 20 at the end. And it's going to give you a length of 120. So I'm going to draw it around here. Alright, so first let's draw a construction line. As I say, normally start with the front view and then you project to the other views. Okay, so it's about 120 they said, but let's measure it quickly and nice and neatly. So okay, so there's going to be where the edge of the drawing is going to be. Then there's that 20 radius, 20. Then there's that 30. Then there's that 20 little millimeter gap. Then it's 30 millimeters again. And then there's that 20 radius, and you can see it's 120. Alright, so let's project the lines going upwards. Okay, alright, so let's look at the height of the drawing of the front view. I see there's a 10 millimeter gap, and then I see another 10 millimeter, and then you're going to have your radius. Okay, which is going to be about 20. So in height in total is going to be 40. Alright, so I actually suggest you start with the radius first when you start with the front view. Now, I like to put the radiuses, the radius has to be in the middle over here, guys. Now, how do you find the middle? You can measure it, but there is a system of, a proper way of doing it, and I showed it in the geometric exercises. You will bisect the line. So I'm going to measure at the top over here, scribe an arc, pierce it over here, scribe an arc. Okay, and then we go and measure it over here, and we'll find the middle. There we go. And there we go. There's the middle. So there we're going to start our radiuses. So put your compass in. Now I haven't got my ruler where I measure my compass, so, but this is still, you can still measure your radius on here on the ruler. So first thing I'm going to do is going to measure the 10 radius. Okay, which is going to be this little circle from here to here. Or you can use the reference lines. Okay, you can use the reference lines as well, but it's still, I just checked, it's still about 10 millimeters. I'm just going to see if it mounts up on the other side. Actually, I didn't pierce it in the middle. Make sure you pierce it in the middle properly, guys. Yeah, that's why. Let's see if it's going to line up over here. Perfect. Alright, so here we go. Draw your little radius over here like that. Voila. Draw your radius over here like that. Voila. Ah, there we go. Right, so now we're going to get a bigger radius, which is the radius 20. So get your radius 20. Here we go. And let's do our radius 20. And draw it over here like that. Now try to draw it thick as possible. Thick and dark. Sometimes this does happen. It doesn't line up at the top there. That's fine. They do know this will happen, but this is actually 20 millimeters. I did measure. So I'm going to measure it again just now. Obviously, it's, let's see over here. Let me measure with the compass. Ah, you see, look at that, guys. It's 19 millimeters. Please make sure it's on 20. Yeah, there we go. See, that's why I have that reference line at the top there, so we don't make that mistake. Let's fix this up. You can measure with your ruler, but remember, the reference lines does help. Okay, so let's just put it over there. So it's best to use both things. Okay, so logically, it would have been better if you just lined it up with that reference line, like I did with this over here. Because when I measured with over here, I probably measured 11 millimeters, and that's why I was like, so I moved it a bit more closer. So guys, reference lines help a lot. Okay, but yes, do measure. Okay, so there we go. There's the circle. It's not right there. Sorry, my compass got a bit loose there. But as I say, practice makes perfect. There we go. And it's all coming out nice. Alright, so now let's do the vertical lines first. I want to draw them down, get them out the way. Okay, I just want to darken the circle here quickly, guys. It just doesn't seem dark enough. Sometimes you have to thicken the lines a little bit just to make them look nice. There we go. Okay, oopsie. Compass dodged a bit. Ooh, see, this is also another thing you guys must be very careful not to damage the paper too much. Obviously, because the board I've got underneath here, guys, it's a little bit old, and that's another thing you have to take into consideration. If the board gets old, get a new one. Okay, because you will have a situation like this, which is very untidy, and they don't like that. Okay, so that's the front view done. Let's go and project to the left view. Now remember, it's a 20 millimeter gap here, and it's also a 20 millimeter gap here, so let's just do those quickly. So let's measure 20 millimeters over here. Okay, and then measure 20 millimeters underneath over here like that. Normally you should be using a ruler to measure 20 millimeters, but you saw what I did there. It is still, yeah, it's still alright, but as I say, it's rather do it with a T-square and accurately as possible. Alright, so let me construct a line over here like that. So here we go. Here we go. And then we go over here like this. Okay, as I said, guys, I like to do the left view, so let's project to the left view. Alright, I'm going to project this line over here. This line I'm not going to project because, well, I am going to project, but we're going to make it dark later. This is going to be our hidden detail. Remember, guys, these lines are faint as possible. You mustn't see them. Okay. And also I'm going to project this line for later because it's also going to come in handy. Alright, so let's see the width of the drawing. According to the drawing, the width of the drawing over here, it's 40 millimeters. So let's measure 40 millimeters. Get your ruler. Make sure it's 40 millimeters. When I did this exercise with my students, I made it 30 millimeters by accident. I wasn't paying attention. Make sure the measurements are correct. 40. Alright. And let's describe a line. Now, if you look over here on the left view, you're going to see that step over here. It's going to be a solid rectangle. And then you're going to see this over here, which even though you turn, it's going to be another solid rectangle. That's it. Alright, so there we go. There's your left view done. Now, it's not completely done because there is going to be hidden detail. Where's the hidden detail? Ah, you see there's a line over there. Even though it's a circle, it is the top of the circle. You have to show it inside here, so there's going to be hidden detail. It's going to be represented as a solid line. So what I'm going to do is the erasure... we're going to use the erasure shield method. So I'm going to show you how to use it. Like in the previous example, I showed you how to use the erasure shield to get it. So I'm going to use it in this example. So the trick is to get the erasure shield symmetrically in the middle. Okay, so look at the holes, guys. Can you see there's a line over there? I don't want that. There's a line over there on the other side. I don't want that. So I'm going to move it until I don't see anything like that, and I think that's perfect. And as I say, I look at the holes and see in correlation to this line. Look at that hole and to that line, so it's more or less in the middle. Hold the razor shield down flat as possible. Get your rubber and just eraser and just rub. Just rub out those lines. Okay, remember it's a B-type line, so it was a thin pencil. Just remember that. Okay, there we go. And there's your hidden detail. Wow, that was much easier to do, hey? Very easy. That's why I prefer sometimes using the razor shield, guys. But sometimes you might not have the luxury of having this. Okay, please make sure it's got these holes over here like this. You do get them at certain stationery shops, especially P&A. Okay, now, the next part of it is now we're going to project to the top view. We only have to project one line, guys. Now you can use the 45-degree method. I like using the compass method because it's fun. All I have to do, sorry, I nearly lost my footing there. All I have to do is just project from the edge over here like that, and esto presto, we're done. Alright, and now, there we go. Let's go the construction line over here like that. Okay, so now we've got our top view area. Let's project all the lines from the front view to the top view. But I'm not going to project these lines because these are going to be hidden detail. I'm not going to use the razor shield method. This one I'm going to use the measurement method, okay? Okay. Now the reason why I projected these lines down, you see I measured them earlier. This is the middle of the circle when you're looking above. So we're going to need to find the middle of this by bisecting the line so we can draw our circle. And you know how to bisect a line? because you must keep this in mind because it's going to come back when you do your prisms and pyramids at a later stage. Okay, so scribe a line like that. There we go, bisect the line. Okay, and as I said, guys, we got reference lines, but you can measure 20. So let's measure 20, but we are going to use the reference lines as well. Okay, I've got 20 over here. Let's see, it's lining up nicely. Okay, and it is, yes, it just lines up nicely. Lines up nicely there, lines up nicely there. Okay, so once you got that, oh, a little bit out. Make sure it's in the middle, guys. Please, please make sure it's in the middle. Okay, that's better. Now let's draw our circle. There we go. I know it's very unusual I'm drawing like that, but sometimes I have bad habits, so you should use your top of your compass. There we go. And then you go to the other side. Oh dear, I marked it off on the wrong line. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see, make sure it's all over here to the center. There we go. Alright. There we go. There we go. I'm just double checking on the other side. That's a little bit off. You see it's slightly out, guys. Please try to keep it in the middle. Practice makes perfect, guys. Practice makes perfect. Okay, practice makes perfect. There we go. There we go. Let's draw this. Perfect. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Alright, and let's just close it off so we have got all these lines done. So let's do these ones over here. Then I'm going to do this one. Close it off. From there to there. Okay, let's go to the bottom one. Close it off from there to there. Here we go. It's coming on nicely. Okay, and then I'm going to do these ones over here, these edges, which you can see from the top. So it's going to be solid. Okay, and then I'll go to this one over here. Go over here like that. Okay, now we have to do the hidden detail, which is going to be quite interesting. Remember, it's 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is get my set square. I'm going to line it up as nice as neat as possible. Okay, and yes, I'm going to do something like this, about a 1 millimeter gap. Okay, can you see I left a 1 millimeter gap over there? So it doesn't look a little bit funny. And then I'm going to draw the line 3 millimeters, 2 millimeter gap. Okay, 3 millimeters, 2 millimeter gap, 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 and so forth. Look at that. Looks much neater than the previous example, guys. Please try and make it symmetrical. Okay. Yeah, my pencil kind of broke there, so the shaving kind of like made a little marking there. I hate it when it does that, guys. So if possible, try not to rub out your your hidden detail line, and just try to get to that little point there. There we go. Managed to get to it. Lovely. All right. So now let's do the other hidden detail line. And there we go. There's your hidden detail. Awesome, isn't it? Okay. Now, just remember it's a thin pencil, guys. Okay. All right. But you know the camera doesn't make it look thin. It makes it look a bit thick because I make it too dark. But remember, it's a thin pencil, eh? Now, there's one thing that is missing: center lines. And I'm going to put the center lines down. Now, please take note where I put the center lines, guys. Yes, that they do check for these. And there's one more I forgot over here in the middle. And there we go. Alright, the only thing I haven't done is the title and the orthographic symbol, so I'm just going to just quickly do that over there for you. What's it called? The support bracket. Okay, symbol, circle, circle. It was a really horrible thing. Fuck it, man. Breaking. There you go. Flipping hell, man. Just draw. And there we go. That is the first angle drawing there done for you. It's a bracket. Okay, so I'm going to show you the 3D model. Okay, so here we go. Here's the front view over here. Can you see the 3D model? Here's your front view. Here's your left view. Let's go back to the front view. And there's the top view. And then back to the front view. Okay. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I hope you have a good day further. Remember just to keep on practicing. And remember, you're not going to have all these nice fancy resources. You have to start doing it like literally like I'm doing it over here. Okay, because if you, yeah, as I said, anyways. Alright, thank you very much. Have a nice day further and goodbye.